The first time I saw a person get shot, I was 14 years old. I mean, it wasn't like at my school, in my middle school, my elementary school, stabbings were like, yeah, the guy got stabbed, yeah, all right. What else is new? Somebody gets shot, you're like, all right, that's something to talk about. 14 years old. When I saw any guy's brains out, I don't know if you ever saw anybody get shot here, but it's not like the movies, It's not like there's a little hole and like a little drip of blood comes, and the Indian movies are the worst, man. You're getting shot and you're still going as if it's nothing. You get shot like a good caliber gun, the entrance hole, whatever, but the exit hole take your whole head off. And the holes are like this big. You can't just get shot and keep walking like it's nothing and music playing in the background, So we realized from a very early age that life has no guarantee. One of my very good acquaintances, you could say, or friends or whatever, that I grew up with, somebody that I spent a lot of time with. And he's somebody that I was very close with. His name was Manuel, and he was Mexican. And we were from the same gang. And growing up, I didn't know much about Islam. I mean, I didn't have Muslim friends and things, I used to come visit the UK. We have a brother, Nadeem, here. He's my witness, And my mom used to send me to the UK in the summers a lot of times because I would get in a lot of trouble back home, And unlike here, like I wasn't raised in a Muslim, I didn't know any Muslims growing up. So these people that I became friends with, they were kuffar, but they were the only friends I had. And this brother, he was 2 years older than me. Brother in the sense of humanity, not in Islam. He was 2 years older than me. And he was somebody who was very close to me. He was somebody who kind of took me under his wing, and we were very respectful. And, since 8th grade, we were close since I was very young. And even before that, I knew him since I was a child. But from 8th grade on, we were like very, very good friends. In fact, like even his house, nobody was allowed inside the house. They had a garage next to the house where the gang would hang out, but nobody could go inside where his mom and his sisters and his father and grandmother were. But he would tell me, like, you come sleep inside the house. Like, that's how trustworthy the relationship was. And one time, this is not it's not a Netflix special, it's not a YouTube video, I'm telling you my own stuff. One time, when I was 18 years of age and he was 20, we had a girl that met me at a party, and she gave me a number. At that time, I'm a little bit older than you guys, just a little bit. We didn't just have cell phones, like we had pagers, so you would get a number, and then you would call it, and they would page, and then you would go to a payphone, and you would call them. So, they would give you a number and tell you, okay, we'll meet up. So I had this number, and I had a weekend, it was time. I said, okay, I'm gonna go. And then I had another girl, gave me another number. So I was like, I'm kind of stuck between two choices here. So I was talking to him, and I said, you know what? You take one, I'll take one. And he's like, all right. And that's how blindly those girls didn't care. They just wanted the clout of being with a gang leader who could, we could do a lot of things at that time. Could get rid of your bad grades, could, somebody could be disappeared from you and all that. They didn't even care who really showed up, because we were all in the same gang. We were from the leadership. We had about 600 people. Not like gangs here, like 20 people, like, oh, can't even play football with them. Yeah, 600 strong. I mean, our leadership was 13 people. And me and him were both from the leadership. So I told him, okay, I'll take the better looking one. I got the numbers, You take the other one. He's like, all right. And subhanAllah, he showed up in my place, and he went to the payphone where he's supposed to now call, and he calls the number. And instead of the girl coming out, a group of guys came out. They didn't stab him. They took guns and emptied clips into him, magazines. And subhanAllah, that day was supposed to be me. I mean, the setup that the other gang had planned for months, they had got the girl and told her, go give him the number and this, all of that was meant to kill me. But the qadr that Allah has written, it ended up that he went in my place. And they didn't ask. They saw him, saw he was a gang member from our gang, they just shot him. I still very vividly remember seeing his body when they first got it out of the morgue. You know, the side of his head was gone. Like this whole skull, because 357 shot to the head was gone. Bullets through his hand, through his shoulder, through his chest. 9 bullets hit him. Imagine how many they shot. 9 hit him. And subhanAllah, it's not the first time he had been shot. He had been shot many times before, but he lived. So we used to call him bulletproof. That day we found out nobody's bulletproof. كُلُّ نَفْسٍ ذَائِقَةُ الْمَوْتِ. Every soul shall taste death. 20 years of age. Dead. For what? A gang name that nobody remembers. That gang still exists today. But if you go there today and you mention him, nobody even remembers who he is. A grave that nobody visits. What did we work for? Money, fame, drugs, girls, clout. Like these are the things people talk about, right? I buried him. Me and his brothers and his family, we buried him. Wallahi, none of the money he ever made went down with him. We used to have a 1964 Impala. I don't know if you guys know Impalas, but it's a gangster car, It had rims and hydraulics and it was pimped out. And he used to love that car. Like we went on it together, but he's the one that would take care of it. He would wash it and buff it and clean it, and we would take it cruising. And when people heard that car, they knew it was us. That day, as we buried him, his brothers were driving the car. We used to have, like you guys have Nike Tech and Jordans and Air Force Ones and all that kind of nonsense nowadays, right? Gucci and this and that. We used to have our own. We used to have Dickies and Pendletons and Ben Davises, and these were gangster brands, And we were poor. Like we didn't have that much, But because of, we used to deal with drugs and, not like you guys is here like, okay, he sells, a bag of cocaine. Whoa, We used to move drugs across the Mexican border like cartel stuff. And we couldn't put the money in the bank, couldn't invest it. So you just wasted, just buy 20 jackets and this and that, But that day I went to his house and his brothers, the day we buried him, his brothers were already fighting over his clothes. They were taking, he used to put money under the mattress and in different places in the house. Every one of those places was raided. By the time I got to his house, it was all gone. So I started to think, what's the purpose of life? Why do we do what we do? Even here you go out and you represent a postcode or whatever, a street. You don't own the postcode. You don't own the street. What are you fighting over? And especially here, when you hear Muslims fighting Muslims, how pathetic is that? Like, what's wrong with you guys? How can somebody of La ilaha illallah fight another person of La ilaha illallah? Over what? That day I buried my friend. We didn't put any drugs in the coffin. We didn't put any money in the coffin. His respect and the people fearing him, none of that went in. That body couldn't even move. We picked him up. His body was limp. If you think you're hard, think about going up against Malak al-Maut. When the angel of death comes, you're gonna be like, nah, I'm good. You're gonna be like, you know who I am? Check out this chain. Bling. Can't fight Malak al-Maut. If the malaika of adab hit you in the qabr, you think you can stand up to that? I don't care how many MMA gyms you join and how much you can bench. When the malaika of adab, may Allah protect us all, throw you in the nar, you think you can stand up to that? And if you can't, then what are you doing with your life? You know, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he told us in the hadith that al-kayyis, the intelligent person, is the one man amila amalan lima ba'd al-maut, the one who does the actions from that which will benefit him after death. That's the intelligent person. The foolish person, he continues to sin and says, Allah is going to forgive me. Allah is forgiving, but you got to make tawbah. That's stupidity, that you keep doing the same sin and then you think Allah will forgive you, but you're not making tawbah.